Bang! Neeves Knives. I'm Jared. My lovely wife Kara is at work. And today we are going to talk about the Shirogorov F3R. An absolute amazing, amazing knife. Possibly one of the best knives I've checked out this year. Let's get into it. So, I want to thank the person that donated this to our channel. I can't even, there's no words to even say to that. It's insane. So I just want to say thank you right now. He is an anonymous person, so we are calling him Mr. Amazing, and thank you, Mr. Amazing. So let's get into the specs on this insanely awesome knife. So the overall length is 8 3/4 with a 3 3/4 inch blade. The blade steel is an M390. We have carbon fiber, titanium liners, titanium backspacer, and it is a liner lock. But as you can see, that is a very thick liner. It's almost a frame lock. It's a liner lock that's as thick as a frame lock. It does have ceramic multi-row bearings inside the pivot, and you know, Shirogorov is known for doing some amazing bearing systems. I'm going to show you some pictures of some of their bearing systems. And we'll get more into everything on this knife, but let's do some quick size comparisons. Here is the Shirogorov Hatian. Here is the Spyderco Manix XL. And as you can see, it is right there with it. They are pretty much the same length. Both very big knives, or at least long knives. This one's definitely a long knife. Great full-size knife. Here is the Spyderco Shaman. A little bit shorter. Here is the Strider SNF. And we'll do one more set of big knives that a lot of people kind of know the size of. Here is this is the Hinder XM24 that he also donated to the channel. And another one that he donated to the channel, the Hinder XM18 3.5 inch. And you can see it's basically in between the two, if you can really see that. You know what, one more size comparison, because this is an expensive knife, and I feel like a lot of people might not know the sizes of these knives I'm actually showing it against. So here, this is the Holt Spectre. You can see the Holt Spectre is a little bit smaller than it. And then here is, let's just do one more. Sorry about the movement of the camera. Let's just do one more that I feel like some people kind of know. And also, check it out. I got the scales for the Manix, the regular Manix. So you can see it's a little bit bigger than the regular Manix. And then I already did the Manix XL. So there you guys go. I think that's a decent enough size comparisons. But yeah, check it out. Scales and the cage. Oh, I love it. I tried to throw a deep carry titanium clip on there. Wasn't working out. I mean, it fit, but it just, the ergos got all messed up. All right, so this knife, I'm just going to get right into it. Let's just get into it, right? So the blade shape is it seems like a boring blade shape, right? And that's one of the biggest complaints I think that a lot of people have about this knife, and then also the Holt Spectre, is that they just look like a steak knife, right? And I understand that, because I've always thought that too. They don't have the ridges and the grinds that, like, say, other knives might have. Like here, let's just bust out the Twosun TS 129. You see the swedge up on top, and like, they just don't have all that. But what it does have is everything that works. So I feel like it doesn't have the unnecessary things that maybe make a knife look awesome. So, and that's what makes it awesome. It has everything that just works incredibly well on this knife. So it has a blade shape that is tested through history to be an amazing blade shape. There's a reason why steak knives and butcher knives and kitchen knives are the shape that they are. They give you the opportunity to, one, use the tip if you want, use the belly, use the flat. I mean, it's just a great blade shape. And then the blade geometry, this thing gets down to about 10, 12 thousandths behind the edge. Yeah, super thin. Amazing blade geometry. Now, the blade stock is, it's pretty thick, but they have a fine, acute, yet decently strong tip. But, I mean, it is a precision tip. And then if you look at the edge, you can't even probably see the edge because it's so thin right there. So, great blade geometry. Using this thing is absolutely incredible. You can see the plunge grind where it ends at. This is still the factory edge. And everything is just done on this thing, I feel like, to be, and I know a lot of people argue with me like that's not a user, right? Because it's so expensive, it can't be a user. But everything on this knife is done for use. And like the clip, it works so good. The tension on it is just, it's perfect. It's literally a perfect clip. And I feel like maybe you have to use it to really understand it. It doesn't have much hanging out right to there. The tension is exactly what you want to see. And then it has a big, thick portion that's hanging onto your pants. So instead of being like this on the seam of your pants, it's like this, meaning it's more area that it's touching. So it's not like this, it's like this. So you really feel it pulling it out of the pocket. It feels really nice and secure, yet it slips in and out one-handed perfectly. The blade steel, I haven't sharpened it yet. I haven't honed it yet. Oh, I'm gonna. Or no, I have honed it, but I'm sorry. I haven't sharpened yet. I've only honed it and stropped it. And so far, it still has a good edge. I did cut up a bunch of cardboard with it, and yeah. So the blade is kind of like a bead blast. And I haven't seen any scratches or anything yet on the blade itself. That's one thing I guess I'd kind of be worried about. The jimping works really good. It is jimping that just works. A nice long stretch of it too. So even if you're back here, you can kind of use it. The ergos in the handle material, you see the carbon fiber, how you see the milling going back and forth, so it actually gives you a little bit of texture. Look at the handle. Perfect handle shape. I mean, this thing has amazing ergos. I can't stress that enough, how great these ergos are. Even in the reverse, the pull grip, every grip is fantastic in this knife. It does have a backspacer and a hidden lanyard hole, I guess you could say. The balance is really good. The access to the lock bar, fantastic. Action. It's a Shirogorov, so I mean, perfectly centered. And when you flip the flipper tab, it's a super comfortable flipper tab. I guess you could light switch it if you want to. It's kind of like that in between. You can decide however you want. It really doesn't matter. But the flipper tab is super comfortable and it just works. It flies out. And then the lock bar, super easy to get to, as you can see. Past the detent always. Even if I do it nice and up here, it's still past the detent. The detent ball is really early, right there. And I can push past it if I want to, but it's always past the detent. Very, very smooth on those multi-row bearings. Absolutely no play, any direction. Lock up nice and strong. The lock geometry is also really nice, if we can see it. And then as you're looking at that, look at that stop pin. Nice big, thick stop pin that seems very, very reliable. I love when I see nice, big, thick stop pins, you know. It just adds to the strength. Everything about this thing, even the clip in the hand, I don't even feel the clip in the hand. It just sits nestled right in that little pocket, like right there. So it's not on my bone. It's right there in the pocket of my hand. Such a good knife, man. And I really understood how good it was when I went from one knife to another. So I was cutting some stuff up with one knife, and then I switched to this knife. And the other knife I was using was a Hinderer. And switching from the Hinderer to this knife, wow. The difference in cutting performance was insane. I mean, this thing, I felt like I was cutting through air. You know, not really, but, you know, it felt really good to cut with this. I mean, just, it's so contoured. And the thickness right here, it's just perfect for my hand. Even the landing zone is great. Like, it's super comfortable when you flip it, just right here where it lands. And then you don't have to worry about hitting the blade. You can't touch the blade down here. Can't touch the tip, even though it has amazing blade to handle ratio. I mean, everything is just done so good. Now, does it have all the little extras? No, it has everything that you want in a great knife. Good blade shape. Great blade geometry. Decently thick blade stock that's very strong, but yet it gets down to a fine, acute edge. There is one thing, though, that I would like to see better on it, and that is the choil. Let me explain. So this is my one bad, aside from maybe saying that it kind of looks like a steak knife, right? That's one of the biggest arguments in the community. Oh, it looks so plain. It looks so steak knife-ish. Well, yeah, but a steak knife works, right? And it doesn't have the little extras that a lot of knives have that do what? What does it do? If you really think about it, the cool details in some of the other knives, they might look cool. And I like cool looking. Like, I'm not downplaying how much the look of something can be. But this is no slouch. This looks beautiful, first of all. Let's just get that off the table. It looks absolutely beautiful. But what I mean is that there's a lot of knives that have details that don't do anything. They just look cool. And this thing might not have all those little cool, like, you know, grind features and stuff in the blade, you know, holes in the side of the scales and stuff like whatever it is. You know, it just works. And it works so good. But this sharpening choil, even though it is such a thin edge, and I know I'll probably get a couple edges on it before it does get up to that spot. Once I get rid of that little bit of meat that's hanging off the edge right there, I'm going to have to sharpen up the blade, and I'm going to have to be careful not to hit that choil, which I'll just basically have to start on my stones and work my way down. I can't really, you know, I won't really do that too much because I don't want to risk hitting, you know, especially since I do freehand. I'll have to be very careful sharpening it for it to look really nice. Like, I don't want to hit the plunge grind, which is very possible if I'm not careful. So that's my biggest complaint. Other than that, which is crazy, I can't think of anything else. Nothing. Well, okay, the bead blast. I'm not normally a huge fan of bead blasts. And then this is kind of, it's a bead blast. I mean, I'm not a big fan of bead blasts, and let me tell you why. The main reason is because the knives that I've seen that rust the most are always from bead blasts. This isn't, I don't think I'll have to worry about that. One, it's M390, and M390 is very, very stain resistant, and I'll take care of it. And another thing, they tend to show wear a little bit more than some other, I mean, I guess not more than like a coated blade or anything, but for a non-coated blade, you know, bead blast tends to show a little bit more. But this also doesn't have all the other things on the blade that where when you're cutting through stuff that it has the risk of hitting. like say like this knife right here, how it has this ridge right here. It has the hole in it. It has, you know, the clip. It doesn't have all those little things. It only has the edge. And then it has a little tiny flat right there, but you know, that's really by the time you get up there, the material's over the edge. So I don't think it's really going to be that big of a deal. This thing is so nice. It's so amazing. You can't really use the choil too much, but you can a little bit. I mean, if you're like me, you probably would. Nice and thick in the hand. Just, it's such a good knife. Even this jimping back here, the geared back spacer, I mean, it protrudes just that little tiny, tiny bit. And then, you know, you can take it apart with a flathead screwdriver. It does have a shouldering lockup. You can see its shoulders right there. Very, very nice. This thing is so smooth, and when you open it, it just kicks out. The action is incredible. Yeah, this thing is amazing. Very, very awesome. And the carbon fiber is a white carbon fiber, by the way. I forgot to mention that. You can see the white specks in it. It does look very, very cool, especially in person. It's almost like looking at like a Black Panther kind of, you know, like how on some lightings it's just solid black. Then you move a little bit and you see the spotting. It's very cool. Yeah, I love this knife, I have to say. From a user's perspective, from somebody who enjoys using their knives, from somebody who understands and really looks for good leverage, from somebody who looks for good blade geometry, this thing is amazing with the action. Now, it's going to be a little long for some people. I know that. It's 8 3/4. To me, I think that's a great size. I love knives in the 8 to 9 inch range. Now, I do understand, however, though, like if I'm at places and I pull a knife out like this and I flick this open, people are going to be like, what? Like, it almost looks man, I don't know if I can even say that, but it almost looks murderous, you know? Like, why are you carrying such a big knife? You know, but no more worse than carrying my Manix XL or carrying, you know, a Hinder XM24. I mean, it's no worse than that. So, yeah, amazing, amazing knife. I'm very happy to have this. And you know what? Another amazing knife that's also another one kind of like that where it comes to like kind of being long and murderous. This was a gift from the Shadow Man. And you can see these two are about the same. They're the exact same length for the most part. And they have a lot of the same features when it comes to the ergos and cutting performance. This is an epic knife also. Very, very amazing. Yeah. I feel very blessed and very lucky. I hate to say the word blessed when it comes to getting knives, you know, donated, but, you know, I feel very, very lucky, because this is a knife I absolutely can't afford. Hands down, I can't afford it. There's not a chance in the world I can afford this. So to be able to own one because people are so awesome in the community. Same thing with this React K2. You know, same thing with the Hinder. Same thing with a lot of the gifts that were given. I can't, like I said, it still blows my mind. And I'm very thankful to get to play with this and you know, use it and cut with it. And I'm not going to baby it. I damn sure am not going to baby it. Because and I feel like I want to. I say that, but I feel like I want to. Like, you notice I haven't put an edge on it yet, right? Now, one is because it's still very nice. You know, it's still very sharp. But I tend to like to put my edges on things. And this one, I haven't done it yet. One, because of the meat thing right here. Like, I don't want to cut into it if I don't have to, but this thing's so thin behind the edge that I don't think the first sharpening, I mean, I don't know. We'll see, because it's going to get sharpened. Man, I'm almost like out of words talking about it, but it's such an amazing knife. Let's look inside a little bit. You can see if we can get it to show up. There is milling, heavy milling all over, which gives, let me just get a light, which gives it a, you can see lots of milling all over. It's very, oh man, I wish it would show up. It's very cool milling too. Like, look at the milling. And then look at the lock bar insert. It's just pressed in. No hardware at all. That is cool, right? I thought that was really cool looking at that. That's how Shiro does it. Another thing that I'm not sure about is, you know, and I've seen this on all Shiros, but they have this little cutout right there where if the lock bar keeps moving, which it's rock solid, I can't even push it over at all. I can't push it whatsoever. But eventually it's gonna hit that. But the way it's fit in there, you know it's gonna be a long time. And I don't know how long or anything like that, but and I don't know what Shiro would do about it if it did start locking or hitting there and start getting blade play. But I'm not even worried about it. I haven't heard of anybody saying that was a complaint. So it's hard for me to complain about it if I haven't heard somebody else complain about it. I love you guys. Thanks for watching this. I know it was long and ridiculous. Peace.